What is an uptick in fouls called on you guys the last couple of games? Has that been an adjustment in terms of how you all are being officiated, or do you feel like you all need to change something as you move forward with the uptick in fouls of late?
Yeah, I think the thing that we realize and that you guys realize covering any kind of sport is that the rules of officiating are based on how that game is being called on that day or night. And I think we got to do a better job of adjusting to early on how we see the level of physicality, what is going on, what is going to be allowed on that day, and that doesn't mean something illegal or something dirty. That is not how we go about our business. But can we be a little more physical or can we not? And I think us becoming a little bit smarter in that area is something we're still working on, and the coach preaches about us being a little bit smarter, more disciplined with our aggressiveness.
What does it say about y'all's team that y'all were able to play so poorly for the first 10 minutes and kind of flush that and play really well the next 30?
I think a resiliency. I think it's, I smile because in my time being here, which tenure of a year, now a year and a half, I think it was for Coach Barnes and our team, one of our proudest moments in terms of what you said. We struggled. We didn't give in. The thing about what I've exhibited over the years of championship or high-level quality teams is they hang in there, they're persistent, they're resistant. They don't give in, especially defensively and on the backboard, until they find their rhythm on offense. Then all of a sudden it looks wonderful, right? Everybody said, man, you guys played great in the second half. Well, we played well, but we played just as hard in the first half defensively. We just didn't make shots. We just weren't fluid with the basketball and had too many turnovers. When you make shots, you take care of the basketball, everybody thinks you play great. Sometimes you just shoot great, and everyone equates that to playing great. That's not always the case. I think in the second half of this game, we did both pretty well.
Coach, talk about struggling and working through things. Olivia, through his first 3 games of SEC play, was averaging 13 a game. Last 3, 5 a game. In practice and as coaches, how do you work with guys to reestablish that confidence and get them back on track? Yeah, and I think with some of that, especially with a senior and a guy with the level of experience that has, Olivier, it's more talking, than anything else, of showing him, whether it's via video. Here's the things you were doing well. Here's now what you're doing now. Oh, let's get back to this guy. That's who you are. Most of the time with a guy like Olivier, when he had like 1 rebound in 39 minutes and then he goes out the other night and gets 9 and 27, I believe, he's the first to know. Like, he's the first one that feels terrible about it. So I think identifying it and telling them that the mark of over my time again, of a very good player, which Olivier has demonstrated at times, is level of consistency. That's where you build trust amongst your coaches and your teammates.
What does it say about Zakai Ziegler that he would struggle like he did at the start of that game and then ended up playing so well in the second half?
Yeah, I think it says who he is and has been since he got here. He's a guy that's made big plays, big shots at big moments. That whole second half was a big moment, and I think after, what was it, maybe the first 8 minutes, 12 minutes, whatever, it took him a little bit to get into the flow of the game, but never did I think that Zakai was just going to crack. Like, it was more like, Z, calm down, slow down, feel the pace of the game. Now let's rev it up. And the second half, I think Coach had him at a timeout. I think one of the great things that Coach has a great feel for the guys and what they do. He may seem like he comes at guys and he demands a lot, but he also has the part that maybe you guys don't always see. Zakai, if you see daylight, shoot it. So like, hey, as a player, that feels pretty good. Okay, saw a little daylight, and he let it go, hit that first one, and then he was off to the races.
He played 40 minutes, and after the game he said, I could have played more. Or I'm ready to go play another game. Does that surprise you?
There's guys, and Garrett could attest to this more with what Max VO2, I remember that from a little bit of my classes. But I think he and Santi are 2 guys that are in really elite cardio condition, and they can. And I think Zakai was also smart knowing he was going to play 40 minutes. You don't like to use this expression. Generally, guys that pick possessions where they're really going to compete are guys that kind of leave you in the dust. But with Zakai, the way he guards, you let him pick his possessions and play cat and mouse. He's smart with it. And he also knew going 40 minutes that, hey, I'm going to have to pick my possessions in this game. And again, with Mississippi State, you know the strength of that team is scoring in the paint. You have to do a great job of containing the basketball. So that allowed us to back up our defense a little bit on this night.
Coach, how do you get Julian to build on what he did Tuesday night and to have that kind of attacking mindset every night out?
You know, Rob, part of that is us, and part of that is Julian. You know, we have a part in that, and so does he. And I think Coach has asset of him all year that, hey, Ju, we need you to help us separate. We need you when you're playing at a high level. The one thing that he has done, and I'm really proud of him, is he goes to the offensive glass, man. And we talked about that earlier in the year from the wing position. You're going to be able to run to the glass. Of all the things, like, hey, the great move off, you know, coming from left to right. If you guys remember in the second half across the bench, that's a big time play. It works on any level. But the thing that was most impressive was Julian continuing to go to the backboard. You think about how they kept us in the game at some tough times. So how do we keep him doing that, Rob? I think it's just talking to him. We talked about it, you know, yesterday. He came walking through the office, and you know, we talked a little bit, and I think our coaches do a great job of saying, hey, Ju, you know, we need you to play at a high level. We need you to be aggressive, right? We need you to take open shots. Then our team's responsibility is to go retrieve it. So relax, do your thing.
What's it been like, I guess, with Freddie here for a week, and kind of what's the plan getting him involved today?
Yeah, you know, I think with Freddie, it's, you know, he'll join our scout team. It's great to have him here. I know football has done this for years, like, right, bringing guys in January and redshirting them and letting them learn the system. And more than that, him just understanding the level of intensity, what the responsibilities are to be a Tennessee Vol. I don't mean that in a corny way, but I mean it in a proud way. And I think Freddie is bright enough. He has, you know, done his part at every level. And I think for us, it's just watching him through this maturation process over the next how many months. But we're really excited to have him here. He's a high-level talent.
What impresses you about LSU?
The fact that, you know, Matt's been able to go in there and, you know, I think he added, what, was it 12, 13 new players to his roster? That is so hard to do. And to get those guys to play, I know they've struggled here last couple of games, but they've also played at Alabama, arguably, you know, as talented a team as there will be, we'll see this year. And Auburn, who's playing really well. But I think over the course of the season, particularly until they got into SEC play, his team has played at a high level. They've been competitive. And I think that's all you can ask of a team in your first year.
Everybody good? What about the Williams kid inside?
Very versatile. KJ's a kid that not only can beat you on the block, but can step out and shoot the three. So we're going to have to do a great job. And we always talk about our bigs, and we have great confidence in them playing like guards on the perimeter, playing like bigs on the paint.
Thank you, GP.
Thanks, Coach.
My pleasure, gentlemen.